feel like I have to sneeze. That's the worst way to start off a stream, right? Just like, oh man, I feel like I gotta sneeze. Also, am I rotated? Because I haven't fun with the rotating buttons. I feel like I'm a bit rotated, but my rotator. There we go. Now I'm not so rotated. That's more like it. I like it. Anyways, hello. No, I did not set up the extra life stuff yet. My bad. I was just looking at it and I'm just like, yeah. Yep, that's probably something I should have done over the weekend. And then I didn't. And then I still didn't do it today. I will do it tomorrow. Someone remind me at the end of the stream to be like, hey, sign up for Extra Life 2025, okay? And I'm like, got it. And part of me is like, but I want to make sure the milestones are ready, and I have no idea what I want to do for 700. Because we have to, I gotta get the mods together. We gotta react to, I gotta react to old content. The cringy stuff. The reason why I want to do it with my moderators is because the stuff I want to actually go back and watch is stuff from before I met them. So they get a little glimpse of a little me. Of who I was before I met them. I was very much the same though. But I think it'd be best to show them what before I met them stuff. Kind of explain who I was when I was that age, before I met them, and ultimately leads to, which would ultimately lead to the story of how I discovered Metcalf's stream, or should I say back then RGG. Anyways, that's story time for when we actually do that stream. I will get them together at some point. I think I'll be talking with Metcalf and Alexa this weekend. I mean, we might be doing something Saturday. I had a schedule. I wrote a schedule and I totally forgot to post it. My bad. That one's on me. I'll post it on the Discord right now. Right now. Schedule. Yep. Anyways, welcome back to Tyrion Cuthbert, Tony of the Arcane. Last time, we found a couple no, not a couple, just a singular, unregistered, mage. And then we investigated more murder, and we're potentially gonna get yet another noble house mad at us! Yay! We gotta stop accusing the nobles of murder. But court is now resumed for the trial of Wiles Nightgrave. Let us review the proceedings from yesterday. It was revealed that the trace of necromancy may have been not left by the defendant. It may have been left by a witness who used necromancy in an attempt to heal the victim. However, the victim was seen by the witnesses after the time of her death. This could only be explained by the defendant using necromancy to animate the victim's body. This leaves the question, where did the murder take place? Does the prosecution have an answer for this? Based on the testimony of several witnesses, it's very likely that the murder took place in the library. Interesting. What led you to this conclusion, Miss Steelwind? First, I'd like to remind the court where the victim was sighted before the body was found. Oh shoot. We can't rebuttal that because because Miss Steelwind would, then they would be like, but weren't you also there? Thus making us, giving, we gave Wallace his alibi, basically, is what I'm trying to say. It began when the victim had a meeting with the headmaster near the center of the building. Our meeting was scheduled for 12 p.m. According to my schedule that day, our meeting lasted an hour. This brings us to the statement of the next witness, a student at the academy. The student saw the victim walking in the hall. I saw her coming out of the headmaster's office. She was heading towards the library, which means our first witness saw Bellwether leave the headmaster's office. Presumably, this would happen after her meeting there. That would be the time this encounter around 1 p.m. The other event is the discovery of the body, which is when Valentinius Inus contacted security. I suddenly spotted the professor lying in a pool of blood in the classroom. Valentina used a communication device to help while I tried to save her. We have already established this event occurred at 3:04 p.m. But the significance of this time is what occurred before the body was discovered. The second witness, a member of the cleaning staff, spotted the victim in the west wing hallway. Bellwether was knocked over at base, and there were shards and dirt everywhere. It's probably 20-30 minutes before the twins found the body. This means that this encounter happened no later than 2:30. And this implies the victim was near the library between 1 and 2:30 p.m. According to the defendant's statement, he was in the library at this time period. Furthermore, the time of death was 2:07 p.m. This means that Mr. Huge saw the victim's animated body. I see. Your deduction certainly tracks, Miss Steelwind. What do you have to say in your defense, Mr. Cuthbert? I got nothing. My defense. I can't break what I said about earlier about establishing Wallace's alibi in the library. The prosecution's argument is definitely well set out, Your Honor. However, it's entirely predicted on the testimonies of all the witnesses involved. Steelwing's deduction has to have a hole somewhere. And since your conversation yesterday, you have a feeling that Miriam's hiding something. If you want to get her to get to the truth, you'll have to drag that out of her through a cross-examination. Your Honor, to have the validity of these claims, the defense would like both of these witnesses to testify. The defense calls Miriam Frege to the stand. For Frege! At the mention of her name, the judge's face turns a bit pale. No wonder. She's one of the four pillars. She's that part of... I had a feeling it would come to this. Do you have any objections, Miss Steelwind? I do not, Your Honor. Very well. Bailiff, please escort Lady Frege to the stand. Witness, state your name and occupation for the... You little snakes! Yeah, I figured she would figure this out. How dare you deceive me? I just wanted an honest investigation. Looks like she found out. No, really? Really, Celeste? I had the opportunity to debrief the witness beforehand. Miss McCoy, for the record, I told you to exercise discretion. I did not mean that you should impersonate a member of my family. Yeah, sorry about that. She panicked, okay? What do you want from her? I give you all the tea that I imported from the Eastern Kingdoms. I demand you return it to me. No, you gave them to me. They're legally mine now. That's not how it works, Celeste. That's not how it legally works. I'm not sure what your business is with the witness, Miss McCoy, but I ask that you please handle your personal disputes outside of the courtroom. Anyways, Miriam, can you please testify to the court about your encounter with the victim? Very well. I just like Celeste, just like, no, you gave them to me. So they're legally mine now! That's not how it kind of works, Celeste. I was working on a research project in my dorm when I decided to take a break. I left my room and went on a walk. Then I saw Professor Bellwether exiting the headmaster's office. She was walking in my direction, so I greeted her and she responded in kind. After that, she headed towards the library. A short time after that, I went back to my room and continued my work. I see, so it was only a brief encounter. However brief it was, the witness testimony verifies two things. One, that Miss Frege saw the professor exiting the headmaster's office, and the other is that she witnessed the victim head towards the library. This gives us a rough timeline when where the victim was before her death. That does seem consistent. Did Bellwether really enter the library that day? Yes! She did! Or was that her dead body that entered? You feel like you would have seen her there if she did. You did! I know I played that part like 2 weeks ago, but yes! She did enter the library. You did see her. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Was the research project a part of your schoolwork? It was an independent study on a new contradiction spell formula. The project is being sponsored by the Crown Prince himself. I wasn't aware that he was involved in such a study. Of course he wouldn't. You didn't expect to know every aspect of his life, dear Arya. You sense a bit of aggression. If you don't keep an eye on him, Professor Frege might just steal him back from you. As if His Highness would align himself with such a rapturous family. Of our banking houses is the economy for infrastructure of our kingdom. But perhaps he'll come to the Steel Wings if he needs to clear Naglombings. With all due respect, may we please focus on the matter at hand? Thank you, Your Honor! Of course, Your Honor. And that you're sure you saw her exiting the headmaster's office? Yes, I remember it clearly. I was surprised that she was still meeting with the headmaster at all. She must be talking about how they plotted to replace him. Did you interact with the professor at all, Miriam? She walked in my direction, so I greeted her and she responded in kind. Did any of you seem off about her? No, but it was a very short encounter. If it's not if we stopped to have a conversation. You said that you greeted her, and she responded. What words did she use? Why is that important? Because I said so. That's why it's important. I said so. Miss Frege, it's possible that someone used illusion magic that day. Every detail about the victim's interactions could be important. Well, I bid her good morning, and she said good morning in response. After that, she headed towards the library. Did you see her enter the library? I didn't, but there's not much else in that direction. From the testimony of Jane Hughes, we know that she later came from the library. Even if she didn't enter the library, she was still in that area for more than an hour. How long did you leave your dorm room? Only for a few minutes. I try not to let my breaks go for too long. And you didn't see the professor again after your first encounter? No, I did not. Her testimony seems pretty straightforward, but she could still be lying. I'm honestly not sure. We just have to focus on her statements about how Bellwether acted. I bid her good morning, And she responded in kind. Why would you bid good morning at 1 p.m.? It would be a good afternoon, sir. Objection! Glad I got that straightened out. Glad I got that straightened out, that why would you say good morning at 1 p.m.? Says the girl who literally just a few days ago said good morning at 1 p.m. to a bunch of people. Actually, that's a lie. It was quarter to noon. It was quarter to 1 p.m. Miss Frigga, if I recall correctly, you have a habit of getting absorbed in your work. So much so that you'll even lose track of time of the time of day. Yes, but what does that have to do with my testimony? Earlier in today's proceedings, the Maybe. Maybe not. The KBS was a little weird, but I'm gonna keep an eye on it. Yes, you will stop this at once. Miss Frigga, you are lying about about they responded to your greeting, aren't you? What difference does it make? All she did was yell at me. All she did was yell. Miss Frigga, is it possible that Bellwether's response was less than friendly? But what do you care? What difference does that make? Why is he being so persistent? My job is to make sure that every part of your testimony is truthful. Every detail matters, no matter how seemingly insignificant. Mr. Cuthbert, you will stop this or I will find you in contempt. Sorry, Your Honor, I can't. The professor yelled at you, didn't she, Miss Frigga? So what if she did? I mean, I'm sorry, but there's no going back on what you just said. So, you do admit that she yelled at you. Ah! You an inherent little... Yes, I admit it. The professor didn't greet me back that day. Oh, good morning, Professor. Be quiet. Didn't... Hugh said something about her saying, be quiet, right? Yes. She yelled at him, be quiet. After it's... But until then, we have always been nothing but courteous with each other. I don't know what got into her that day, but something put something in her foul mood. But it's that it! Everything else I said was the truth! Don't believe me, right? I did see her come out of the headmaster's office and walk to the library. That part is true. So she wasn't lying about that. So, is that all, Mr. Cuthbert? What do you mean, is that all? You badgered this witness. Also, you could prove what exactly? The witness committed perjury. The witness changed a small detail of her testimony. A detail that's insignificant to this case. Objection? I don't know how it's an objection, but it is an objection. It was clear an act with no malicious intent. After seeing her thoughts, it's hard to disagree with that. You were so sure that the eye would lead you somewhere, but Fergo is only lying to save face. The witness saw the victim leave the headmaster's office and head towards the library. Do you have any concrete evidence to refute that, Mr. Cuthbert? No, I suppose I don't. Wait, is that really okay? I'll just write. The only chance you'll have is to cross-examine her. I don't think she's lying anymore. And I was really pushing my luck earlier. If I could continue pressing her, the judge might actually charge me with contempt. But if Miriam isn't the one lying, then... The defense has no further questions for the witness, Miss Steelwind. The prosecution stays silent for a while. She almost looks disappointed. Very well, Miriam. You're dismissed. Miriam still looks like she's fuming, but she leaves the room without protest. Well, in defense, two people lied to her about being nobles. Well, one being the noble's assistant, and the other is come in, badger her, and they don't give back her tea. We're gonna make Celeste give back her tea, right? The judge breathes a sigh of relief as the young noble is escorted out of the room. Now with that out of the way, what else do you have, Mr. Cuthbert? The only way to refute the prosecutor's theory is to cast doubt on the witnesses. If it wasn't Miriam, then Steelman. To test your theory, we must question every witness that saw the victim that day. So with that said, the defense would like to call Jan Hughes to the stand. I hope you understand, Mr. Cuthbert. Your entire case rests on the assumption that one of the witnesses' account is incorrect. If you cross-examine Mr. Hughes, it leads nowhere, then I hope you're ready to concede. You don't like the sound of it, but she's alright. Unless you can find something in Jan's testimony, you won't really have anything to disprove her theory. Bailiff, please bring in Mr. Hughes. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the courtroom. Witness, name and occupation. Right. My name is Hugh James. I'm on the cleaning staff of the academy. Mr. Hughes, please testify to the court about your encounter with the professor that day. Sure. I saw the professor when I was cleaning the west wind hallways. It was about 20 to 30 minutes before the body was discovered. She walked by me, but she looked pretty out of it. I heard she was undead when this happened. Pretty creepy if you ask me. After that, she went into the empty classroom. Well, that was straightforward. Come on, Jan. What are we supposed to do with that? Well, the only thing we can do, as any great lawyer would, we're pressing that ass. Not his ass. I don't want to press his ass. I don't know. You guys are the lawyers. I'm just telling you what I saw. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. How are you sure that was 30 minutes before? I always check the time to make sure I'm on schedule. Honestly, he's probably one of those people who hates overtime. Yeah, no, I'm one of those people. Honestly, who likes overtime? Raise the hands? No hands? Oh, okay, cool. I'm supposed to finish cleaning the halls by 3 p.m. Right, the body was discovered at 3:04. And what was the professor like, Mr. Hughes? She walked by me, but she looked pretty out of it. Did anything else look off about her? I mean, yeah, she was an undead after all. That remains to be proven. If you say so. Anyways, what was her demeanors like? She looked like she was in a bad mood. Either that or she was tired. But I guess she was just dead inside. Literally. I believe you've forgotten a few details about what the professor did. Yeah? Sorry, it's hard to remember these things sometimes. Which details are you asking for? Did you hear her make any sounds? Oh, yeah. After she knocked over the vase, she yelled at me to be quiet. But I didn't even say anything. That detail could be extremely important. Please add it to your testimony, Mr. Hughes. Whatever you say, man. Did you see anyone else enter that classroom? I'm honestly not sure. I wasn't paying much attention to her. I did think it was weird that she went in there. With that funky smell, I can't think of why anyone would go there willingly. Right, the headmaster mistakenly put a ransom smell. My headmaster's mistake put a ransom smell in that room. He's not giving us a lot to work with. He tends to leave out details unless we directly ask him about it. I just need to ask him the right questions. Maybe we can pour more information out of him. I believe you've forgotten a few details about what the professor did. Did she interact with you at all? Oh yeah. I didn't notice her at first, and I accidentally got in her way. She shoved me to the side and kept walking forward. Did she touch anything? Oh, yeah. She knocked over a vase and shattered it. It might have been an accident, but she doesn't do stuff like that. She has done stuff like that on purpose before.
Objection!
Nope. I'm legitimately stumped. I have an idea. He didn't say anything. But what if it wasn't... It was a construct to look like her? All the constructs have her voice.
Objection!
Oh, I hit the wrong button. I presented it on the wrong statement.
Objection!
Okay, no. I has to get a construct in there. Shh, he yelled at me.
Objection!
No. Let's try the other construct then.
Objection!
Nope. But I definitely think what it is a major illusion. It's like the... Reanimates the target using life energy. Creates an undead minion for the duration. The minion follows the caster's orders, but the intelligence is limited and it cannot speak. The minion can end the spell prematurely, but it only do so if ordered by the caster. Wait!
Objection!
There we go! Mr. Huge, you said that Miss Bellwether yelled at you. What were her exact words? I think she yelled at me to be quiet. What? I thought it was weird. I didn't even say anything. But I know better than to talk back to her. That's the thing, Hughes. The prosecution theory is such. The professor was murdered in the library and was reanimated using animate corpse. With a quick illusion spell, no one would notice she was undead. However, if what you saw was truly the undead Bellwether, how did she speak to you? Huh? This doesn't make any sense! Mr. Hughes, undead can follow simple orders, but they do not have the intelligence to speak. Perhaps the witness was mistaken. No, I'm sure I heard her yell at me. I remember because what she said didn't make any sense. Exactly, he didn't say anything, yet she yelled at him to be quiet. Wait a minute. I'm afraid I don't understand. We've already established that the victim was long dead before her encounter with Miss Hughes. But what if she saw wasn't undead? What was it? It had to be an undead. What other explanation is there? It couldn't have been a major illusion. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to shove Jan out of the way or knock over the vase. Whatever it was, someone probably used the illusionary disguise to make it look like Bellwether. Does that mean it was a person? No. If it was a person, how did Bellwether's body end up in the lecture hall? Bellwether wouldn't have been able to turn herself invisible if she was dead. And whatever Jan saw, it needs to be something that could have transported Bellwether's body unseen. It would also need to have a mass inability to speak. Yes! This is where I can get the constructs! This is where I can bring up the constructs! What could have done that? Boom! Nailed it. I just needed to know I was just not thinking straight enough to look at the other spells. That's it. Do you have an answer for us, Mr. Cuthbert? What did the witness actually see? Your Honor, the witness didn't actually hear the undead victim speaking. What he actually heard was her voice being recreated using magic. Are you trying to say that her voice was recreated using a spell? Not a spell, Steelwind. It was artificery. And whoever the murderer was, they had a perfect piece of artificery available to them. One programmed with Catherine Bellwether's voice. Did she also forget about the constructs? You can't possibly mean. That's right, Steelwind. What Miss Hughes saw was the Arcane construct. An Arcane construct. Think of it as a magically animated suit of armor, Your Honor. But we ruled out such possibility, hadn't we? Construct or not, no one could disguise themselves and then carry the body to the classroom. A person wouldn't been able to do it. But arcane constructs are a different thing entirely. Those suits of armor are extremely large, but more importantly, they're hollow. Wait, did we establish? Is it written that they're hollow? Air constructs are student armors that are animated using artificery. They can carry out simple tasks when ordered to. The ones in the Imperial Academy speak using the voice of Catherine Bellwether. These voice lines can only be changed or adjusted by the Academy headmaster. Every command given to the construct is stored in its command log. However, this command log must be cleaned regularly. It doesn't say shit about the being hollow! I see. That means that seriologically, someone could have placed the victim's body in... It's the headmaster killer. The Arcane constructs wouldn't have just transported the body. With illusionary disguise, it would also confuse and mislead anyone who saw it.
Objection!
I commend your deduction, Mr. Cuthbert. I would never have considered that possibility. It's certainly possible, but what does it prove exactly? It proves that the body wasn't animated using a necromancy. My client isn't the murderer. The defendant is still capable of performing all of the acts that you described. His chameleon contains illusionary disguise, after all. There were several students in the library that day. Any one of them could have committed the murder. One might have come to that conclusion if they didn't have one crucial piece of evidence. I'd like to present a new piece of evidence to the court. From under her table, you see Miss Steelwind bring out the bloody Reaper. Blood? Is that? Yes, Your Honor. This is the murder weapon. Of course you would. We have it in our notes. Ugh, she was saving for the perfect moment, wasn't she? This Reaper was reported stolen by Marion Freegram weeks before the murder. And during the investigation, it was finally found in the defendant's locker. Wait! He was clearly trying to use one of her possessions to partially attempt to frame her. Why he even stole her locker nameplate and replaced it over his? Damn it! That's not what happened. But honestly, it sounds more plausible than what really took place. We're basically go back to square one, aren't we? Anyone could have told that construct to do all those things. Wait, anyone? Is that really true? The construct transported the professor's body, and someone used an illusion to make it look like her. They even used a pre-recorded voice to make sure the illusion more convincing. Who ordered the construct to hide the body? Anyone could have done that. No, that's not right. The constructs are available to the students, but not all their functions are enabled. Who would have every function able to them? Oh, duh, the headmaster! Several memories flood back to you. Mr. Huge, you said that Bellwether yelled at you. What were her exact words? I think she's yelled at me to be quiet. She yelled at me to be quiet! But until then, we always had nothing courteous with each other. I don't know what got into her that day, but something put her in a foul mood. Be quiet! Sorry. Be quiet! Eris begins giggling. She seems amused by what's happening. The construct's voice is just a series of pre-recorded messages. I'm not sure if you noticed, it uses the voice of Professor Bellwether. Unfortunately, you can't make them say anything. You can't make them say anything other than what's recorded. Only the headmaster can change those settings. No! It can't be him! Au contraire, but I think it is, culprit. We think we have found our murderer. What is it, Tyrion? Did you figure something out? I did. But is he seriously the one behind all of this? Miss Steelwind, earlier you said that my client could have orchestrated this entire ruse, but that's simply not true. How so? Anyone could have ordered the construct to carry out the victim's body. Yes, but not everyone can change what the constructs are able to say. Only one individual has the credentials for that. Cyrodiil Redmond, the headmaster of the Imperial Academy. Oh, we're just making everybody mad at us, aren't we? we're just getting all of Vanguard to mad at us, aren't we? Except for Ruby. Ruby can never hate us, right? Is that what it is? Ruby can't hate us. You think the headmaster did all of this? I don't want to believe it, but he's the only person who could have done it. That's completely ridiculous. Headmaster Redmond would never do something like this. Miss Steelwind, there is one common element between each of our witnesses' encounters with Bellbuzzer. It was what Bellbuzzer said to them. She yelled at both of them to be quiet. Marin Fergrim was particularly surprised. She had good relations with the professor. But when greeted by the professor, Bellbuzzer just shouted at her. Almost if the professor was responding indiscriminately. And recall her encounter with Sir Jan Hewis. The professor knocked over a vase and shouted at him to be quiet immediately afterwards, even though he hadn't said anything. She was responding to the sounds of the vase breaking. Now let me ask you this, Steelwind. Where did the Bellwether come before she encountered Miss Fergrim and Mr. Hughes? Her meeting with the headmaster. It appears that the defendant truly syndicated Cyrodiil Redmond. If so, we have no choice but to take a brief recess until he can be brought here. There's no need. Fortunately for you, I'm already in the gallery. The headmaster stood up from the gallery seats behind you and slowly walked on to the witness stand. Has he been here this entire time? Apparently so! Now, please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Cuthbert, but do you think I am the one who committed this crime? I don't want to believe it, but yeah. I'm sorry, Redmond, but no matter how I look at it, everything I found points to you. No, there's no need to apologize. In fact, I should commend you for you on the lengths that you're going to defend dear Wallace. The court appreciates your understanding, Mr. Redmond. Why he angry? He angry! Why he angry? Now then, to clear the air, I suppose I should give my testimony on what happened that day. This should be good. That day, I had a meeting scheduled with the professor at noon. She showed up at the exact time. We discussed several various administrative matters. Our meeting went on for an hour, after which she left to prepare for her next class. Despite our many disagreements, we still knew how to be civil with one another. After all, I had no reason to bear a personal grudge against her. I just can't see it. He seems such like a nice person. Celeste. Even the nicest persons can be led to murder. I'm trying to think of an example here. Chat, does anyone have an examples? Clover! Clover, the expert! Ending in 999. Clover was driven to murder, and she seemed like such a nice person in the accident. Sorry. That was just silly jokes. Is he really the person we're looking for? He has to be. No one else could have orchestrated this entire plot. You just need to find out how and why. What happened in that meeting? That day, I had a meeting scheduled with the professor at noon. What was this meeting for? Oh, nothing of note. He's still angry! Why he angry? Why he angry when we bring up the meeting? That's his motive. Whatever happened in that meeting, that's what's making him so angry. We are merely discussing her daily operations and duties within the academy. In an academy such as ours, it's beneficial to regularly communicate with the staff. So she showed up at exactly 12 p.m. More or less. Catherine Bellwether was of many things, but she was never tardy. Why does that make him angry? There aren't any witnesses who saw her before the meeting, so you don't have a way to disprove that he was lying. To disprove what he's saying. It'd be best to look elsewhere in his testimony. How long does this meeting last, Headmaster? So that means the professor left your office at 1 p.m. Yes, she did quite admit about taking time to prepare her lesson plans. Now that you think about it, Frigga had no idea what time it is when she saw Bellwether. If the headmaster was lying about when the meeting ended, there would be no way to verify it, which would account for the hour gap that Sealwyn mentioned. Damn it! Did the headmaster really do this? After hearing so much about her, I find that little hard to believe. I can see why you would say that, but despite everything, I was still her superior. She's always remained professional when speaking with me. Is that really true, though? Really? Even after the way she acted towards the students and the faculty? Make no mistake, I have heard many complaints regarding her actions. Which is why before we realized why she couldn't be fired, I was like, why don't you just fire her? And I had many conversations with her to try to correct her behavior. But at the end of the day, she was a remarkable professor, regardless of her lack of people skills. His testimony pretty much matches what we know so far. I'm not entirely sure he's lying or not, but at very least, we know that he's involved in the professor's murder. But why? If you can't figure out his motive, you might be able to find out how to reveal him to the court. Make him show his spell compendium!
Objection!
Yeah! Raymond, did you really hold no animus towards Professor Bellwether? Of course not. I did have strong opinions about her methods of teaching, but I always remained professional. We both did. Frankly, I find that hard to believe. In fact, I think you might have a very good reason to murder the professor, considering that she was going to take your job! What? So you knew about that. I'm sorry, but I don't follow. Just how was the professor going to take the headmaster's job? According to Mayor and Frigga, Catherine Bellwether was curry favored with noble families. In fact, there was a plan to out Mr. Redmond and appoint Bellwether as the new headmaster of the academy. What? But in any case, I doubt that the headmaster had any idea of this until now. I'd like to remind the court the witness's reaction just now. He said, "So you knew about that." His reaction was one of surprise. But he wasn't surprised by this information. He was surprised that I knew this information. That's... Please, dear Arya, I may be a frail old man, but I'm perfectly capable of defending myself. But if people could defend themselves, what's my job? I'm just a guy who yells the objection and points fingers at people. Wait, Does Tyrion point his finger at people? Or is he just one of those that yells objection? I have not been paying attention to his animations, quite frankly. If you have an explanation, Mr. Redmond, by all means, I would love to hear it. Gladly. He's not looking happy. He angry. It is true that I knew about the Fergus plot beforehand, but I only just learned about it. On the day of the murder, the professor told me about her plan. She was going to replace me as headmaster and replace the staff with her arcane constructs. Now, you might say that would have given me the perfect motive to murder the professor. However, the supposed murder weapon was stolen from Miss Frege. This happened weeks before the murder and my discovery of the professor's treachery. I had no knowledge of their plan before she told me, and therefore I wouldn't have known to steal Miss Frege's weapon in attempts to frame her. Are you satisfied, Mr. Cuthbert? There's no way the headmaster could have come up with this plan. If you really do this, does that mean he stole the Reaper too, right? Most likely. His alibi makes sense. He couldn't have planned this whole thing unless he knew about the Bellwether's plan. That would make he knew about this weeks ago. But how did he even find out? The best way is to tell a convincing lie is to leave a lot of truth and only change the one detail. Maybe Bellwether did tell him, but she actually told him weeks ago. The question is, how do you prove that? Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Alright! We know what to do! Everyone say it with me! But don't do that last part. We're not putting our foot on, we're not pressing the professor's butt. We're not pressing his ass. He ingy. He's visibly ingy. So you only learned about it recently. Does that seem a little too convenient for you? It may appear that way, yes. But that must have been infuriated you. Your colleague betrayed you and attempted to steal your job? I'm only human, of course. I was taken aback. I've been the headmaster of the Imperial decades. To think that the professor and the board would go against my back like that. Getting old, sir. They could have just wait. Why didn't they just wait for his retirement, honestly? He's old! Why couldn't they just wait for him to retire? You know? And like what? How old was Bellwether? She was only 34, okay? Damn it. With the professor dead, you won't have to worry about losing your job. At least not for a while. I suppose you're correct. But there are others who will benefit too. The faculty are now aware of the Frege's plot. With her plot delayed, they won't need to worry about abruptly losing their jobs either. What happens if you prove that Redmond is the killer? He'll lose his job and House Frege will just appoint someone else. No, you can't think about that now. If you don't prove Redmond's guilt, the court will convict Wallace. As the headmaster, you probably had the tools available to get into a room. Yes, I will admit that. The academy has a master key that can be used to enter each student's dorm. And yes, as headmaster, I would have access to that key. Then you had the perfect way to get into her room and seal the Reaper undetected. I suppose I did. However, there is one flaw with your logic. It was my understanding that the Fergus wanted to keep this a secret until the very end. Why would Bellwether, of all people, tell you about her betrayal? I imagine she wanted to taunt me with that information. Oh, he inky. We had our long disagreements, and looking back, she may have resented me for that. And at that point, there wasn't anything I could do to stop her. Really, I thought you and the professor were on good terms. I thought so too, but I suppose it was all a facade. She was just biding her time, but until she could take my position as headmaster. You had to know about Bellwether's betrayal weeks ago. Right. The question is, how do we prove it? Do we have something that proves he knew about it the day before the murder?
Objection!
No? It's right evidence, wrong statement. The classic traits. Redmond, you keep saying that you didn't know about Bellwether's plot before yesterday. Do you still plan on standing behind that claim? Of course I am. It is because it is the truth. I'm sorry, Redmond, but you should really close your doors during your meetings. What? Did someone see? It is true that Bellwether revealed her plan to you during one of your meetings. In fact, Hugh Jans happened to overhear that same meeting, but he overheard the part where the staff would be replaced. And that's the strangest part, Redmond. According to Mr. Hughes, this meeting occurred weeks ago. You can't accuse the headmaster of pre-jury based on a rumor. Everything you just said is based on second-hand information. Mr. Hughes distinctly overheard the staff would be replaced with the Arcane constructs. That is too specific and too accurate to assume that he misheard a different conversation. The professor probably only revealed her plan for the Arcane constructs. That still doesn't prove that he knew about her treachery beforehand. Professor Bellwether had no authority over the cleaning staff's employment. It would make no sense for her just to reveal her plan for the Arcane constructs. That would only make sense if he knew that Bellwether was going to be taking his job. So tell me one thing, Redmond. Why did you find the need to lie about this? Is it because you saw you need to protect yourself from my accusations? Redmond, I asked you a question. Did you murder Catherine Bellwether? I'm kind of scared of the headmaster right now. What if I mess this is? Headmaster? So, you truly planned on pushing this, are you? Well, your theory sounds promising, Mr. Cuthbert, but I believe your argument could use a little work. You think I killed Catherine Bellwether? Me? I'm an elderly man in his late 80s. I can barely walk, much less wield a reaper. you and Bellwether weren't the only people in that room, were you? You needed an arcane construct to carry Bellwether's body. That means the construct would have already been in your office. And with your privileges, you could have easily programmed the construct to stab Bellwether for you. Even so, think about what would transpire afterwards. Recall Miss Steelwing's timeline of Bellwether's witnesses. With your theory, the construct would have spent more than an hour in the library. Having there would have been a risk of my so-called ruse being discovered. Luckily, your lady figure can't tell night from day. Maybe I wouldn't have the construct linger against this claim. Use this claim to contradict it. Within construct. The timing deduced from Miss Frega's testimony is predicted on one thing. She saw Miss Bellwether exit your office after your meeting. However, if we assume that you were lying about when this meeting of yours ended, your argument entirely falls apart. Miss Frega would have encountered Bellwether after her death at 2 p.m. 2:01 p.m. Miss Frega wouldn't have made us a mistake like that. Miss Frega thought it was the morning when she saw Bellwether. She can't reliably tell the time. Then what about where the Reaper was placed? If I really was the murderer, that would mean I planted the weapon in young Wallace's locker. Several of the students had lockers there I had access to. Wallace is one of my prize students. If I had to frame anyone, he would be the last person I chose. You're right, Mr. Redmond. You wouldn't try to frame Wallace, but you would try to frame Marion Frega. It would have been the perfect act of revenge, wouldn't it? You murdered your teacher co-worker and framed the daughter of the family that helped her. But something went wrong, didn't it, Redmond? The labels on Wallace Walker's and Miriam's lockers were switched. Anyone who saw that would have easily mixed them up. I am the headmaster of the Imperial Academy. I had records of all the students' lockers and where they're located. If I truly planned this, I would have known where Wallace's locker was. A simple change in labels wouldn't have led me to make a careless mistake like that. A totally packaged folder containing documents. Blood. Can I just say one thing though? This music fucking rocks. The pack folder contains several documents that connect evidence of multiple instances of plagiarism, fraud, bribery, and school officials, and various other offenses committed by Marion Frega. Wait, what am I kind of... There's no reason I would make a mistake like that. No, that's not right. Fine. Solid base if he was the person who planted the Reaper. A paper covered in blood was found in the Wellness Nightgrave's locker. Apparently, the valuable heirloom of House Frigga was reported stolen by Miriam Frigga. Contact check takes the tasks orders are given. But it wasn't you, was it? Your arcane construct was the one who planted the Reaper in the locker. I bet you commanded it to place the Reaper in the locker of Miriam Frigga. But it saw the ID number on Wallace's locker and assumed it was Miriam's. Redmond begins to desperately stammering and looking for something to say. Miss Steelwind, say something! What? Mr. Cuthbert, your theory may be possible. There's no evidence to support it. Ha! That's right, you don't have any proof, do you? There's no... Saying that I could commit the murder isn't the same as proving I did it. Do we present the construct again? Your arcane construct is still in the locker room where it was planted the Reaper. All we have to do is take a look inside and we'll see the blood inside. Is that so, Mr. Cuthbert? What? Why doesn't he look so confident? No, Mr. Cuthbert, I already checked inside that construct during my investigation. The interior was completely clean. What? The construct's primary function was to assist in cleaning, dear Tyrion. They have functions that allow them to clean themselves, inside and out. Well, we could still look at its command history, right? Think about it, Mr. Cuthbert. Do you honestly think that the murderer would leave behind evidence like that? I'm sure whoever orchestrated this plot, they ordered the construct to wipe its logs when it's finished. No. That's right, Mr. Cuthbert. Your case against me is theoretical at best. But I suppose I can still give you marks for trying. Damn it! He's thought of everything. Was he seriously able to get rid of all the evidence? You're running out of options. But you still have one thing to the left. Ha! It's unbecoming to glare at... It's unbecoming to glare like that young Tyrion. He's doing it again. Bring your back to the moment with Gears Pierce. Think about what is at stake for Wallace, just like you did for Celeste. His life and future is in your hands.
Naught can remain concealed.
You activated Empower Eye again. Redman did a good job recovering his tracks, but there has to be something he forgot to get rid of. I did everything I could to cast doubt in the Fergus brat. I can't believe Valerie placed the trace of necromancy on the body. To make it matters worse, the construct placed evidence in the wrong locker. So he did have the construct send the construct to the locker to plant the evidence. He must have also fabricated the documents that are accusing Frigga of cheating. It's all to make her look like the murderer. But it doesn't give you any news to work with. Why am I thinking of this now? That piece of evidence didn't invoke any useful thoughts from him. Trying projecting something related to Construct's actions. Oh! The Construct's orders were clear. Plant the body in Lecture Hall 2B, and then plant the evidence in Fergus' locker. It was supposed to head to the storage room afterwards. What happened? Interesting. The Construct wasn't supposed to be in the locker room. Okay. My illusion should have been flawless. I can't believe this boy was able to deduce what happened. This is all the nobility's fault. This whole time they were planning to throw me out. It's their fault that Bellwether's dead, not mine. Her blood is on the hands of the Fregas and the Steelwinds. Okay, no thoughts for Wallace. I do everything I could to shift guilt away from myself. But did I leave any holes in my alibi? No, I accounted for everything. There was no way I left any evidence behind. I wonder, did I leave any other pieces of evidence behind? I was far too reckless, but I needed some way to keep that lecture hall empty. Oh right, he must have botched the alchemy experiments on purpose to keep the lecture hall clean. But that doesn't really tell you anything you can use right now. Do I start? Why do I feel remorse for her? She deserves what happened to her. Okay, remember nothing about Wallace. Should have been flawless. Did I say anything about this construct? Okay. This is all the nobility's fault. Why was the construct in the locker room, though? It shouldn't have been there if I had followed my orders. No matter, it wiped its logs. They have nothing on me. So he did order it to wipe its logs. In order to cover all of its tracks, it probably would have done this last. Wait, he ordered the construct to go to the storage room. It would have done that after he was finished planting the evidence in the locker room. But if we found that in the locker room, what stopped the construct from leaving the locker room? No, that's not right. Redman clearly didn't intend for the construct to end up in the locker room. Something must have interfered with it. Let me read the spells. The caster creates a simple and harmless visual effect around their hand. This effect will last as long as the main content. Heal wounds a target on any time. Wounds a target magically heal without leaving any scars or bruises. This spell can't restore missing limbs, nor can it revive someone who has already died. It places an illusion on the target to completely change their visual appearance. Their disguise moves to the target. The disguise can make it look like the 1 feet larger or smaller. Something must have interfered with it. Right! The body was probably reported earlier than Redmond expected. This means he probably started the lockdown before the construct was finished in the locker room. Head to the locker room and expect the construct's actions. Right, the series of commands would have been interrupted. Wait a minute. Constructs execute a series of commands in order that they are given. But let's say one of those tasks is impossible to complete. When the construct gets to that task, it will deem the entire series impossible to complete. As a result, it will stop executing the series altogether. So if a task in the series of commands is impossible, the command will interrupt the entire series. The construct's final command was to wipe its memory. But if it was interrupted by the lockdown, then Miss Steelwind, I have nothing more to ask this witness. What? You're not giving up, are you? Do you even have to ask? Yeah, I thought so. But how are you going to prove that he did it if he's not testifying? Don't worry. The next witness testimony will be all I need. Next witness? That look on your face isn't one of the feet. Just what are you planning? Ha! It will be nothing but desperate bravo. Now, if you excuse me. You let your query get away, Mr. Cuthbert. I hope you know what you're doing. I do, Miss Steelwind. First, I'd ask for the Inquisition to bring in the Arcane construct in the Academy's locker room. We already established that the murder could have wiped its history. Please, just humor me for a second, Miss Steelwind. Very well. Bailiff, please relay Mr. Cuthbert's request to Commander White. Well, here's your construct. I hope you know what you're doing, Mr. Cuthbert. Construct! What are your orders? Please recite your command history. Reporting. Command 1, stand by in Headmaster's office. Command 2, await for a local signal. Attack from Theodore Redmond. You heard Raymond stand up from the gallery. Seeing this, the prosecution watches him and carefully clutches the handle of her cane. Command 3, treat Catherine and Bellwether as hostile entity and neutralize. Construct, wipe your... Hold! Before he can finish his sentence, the prosecutor points her cane at the headmaster. Magical energy shoots from it and collides with him directly. Wait, what's her magic again? The magic race around his body stops him from moving. He's clearly trying to struggle against it, but looks like he can't even move his mouse. Miss Steelwind, excuse the interruption. Please continue. Command 4, away for local signal. Vocal signal. Leave room from Theodore Redmond. Command 5, move to classroom 2B. Reply to any inquiries with voice line number 3. Command 6, remove Catherine Bellwether from interior frame and place on floor. Thank you, Construct. You can stop now. I think we all know the rest. But just to be clear, who gave you this series of commands? Commands were provided by Headmaster Theodore Redmond. How? I ordered the construct to wipe its command history. Mr. Redmond, constructs don't follow the same logic that humans do. If they are prone to error when their commands are impossible to execute. Impossible? In what ways are my commands impossible? You were the one that made it impossible. You activated the lockdown system. The lockdown? The body was found earlier than you'd like. You had no choice but to immediately activate the lockdown system when it was reported. However, the construct was still in the locker room when you did this. So that's why it was there. The construct finished its task in the locker room, but then tried to follow your next command. It tried to move to the storage room, but it was prevented from doing so. Completion of that command was impossible, so the series of commands was stopped before it wiped its history. You little... Theodore Redmond, you ordered your construct to murder Catherine Bellwether. Then you had it place the murder weapon inside the locker to frame Marion Frega. And you had the construct's testimony to prove it. And that's checkmate. Wow, my throat. I can't believe it. How could you do something like this, Headmaster? She was going to take everything from me. My position, my academy, my students. Everything would be gone. It was going to be stolen by her and the Fregas. Why didn't you say anything to me? I could have... Don't you dare stand there and act ignorant to Lady Steelwind. You didn't think the Fragos acted alone. Your father was a part of this plot too. What? I had nothing to say to you. I thought you were different. I listened to your lies about social reform. In the end, you were just like the rest of the aristocrats. By the Scaled Lord, what have I done? I was even willing to sacrifice poor Wallace. I can't believe Why did I listen to this? It appears we have a full confession. The court sees no reason to prolong this any further. Bailiff, please escort the witness to the holding cell. Mr. Cuthbert, you really did it. It feels amazing, right? It's just like a big weight being lifted from your shoulders. It does, but I can't believe the headmaster was the one who did this. Right, despite everything Redmond did, he was the one that allowed Wallace to pursue his dreams. I'm sorry. I'm sure this is bittersweet for you. What am I gonna do now? Headmaster Redmond was the only reason I could even attend the academy. With him gone. Come on, don't think like that. You gotta quit it. I'm sure it'll all work out. You want to agree, but necromancy is basically taboo. Without Redmond's support, there aren't many places he could learn it legitimately. And then there's the Imperial Academy. Hey, don't get all sad on me too. Sorry, I was just thinking. With Redmond gone, the Fragos will probably just appoint another sophisticant as headmaster. Valentina, Valerie, Jan, they're all gonna lose their jobs. Come on, you found the truth and you put a murderer behind bars. You saved Wallace. She's right. As you start to exit the courtroom, you're greeted by Tomura. She was in the gallery. Was she in the gallery this entire time? At the end of the day, you saved Wallace from a wrongful conviction. You should be proud of yourself for that. I suppose you're right. Maybe I'm just overthinking things. But the doubt still lingers in your mind. Now come on! I'm taking Wallace to that restaurant we went to last time. Do you remember how much that place costs? Don't worry, I have plenty of gold. Am I the only one on this team not making gold? Why don't you meet us there, Celeste? I need to talk with Tyrion for a moment. Alright. Let's go, Wallace. Okay. Yeah, I know. I'm not making any money from this. You activated the Empower Eye again, didn't you? I had to! She doesn't appear to be praising you. I did. I didn't really have a choice. The Eye of Humorous is a powerful tool, Tyrion. But that's twice now that you used Empower Eye to get out of a tough spot. You can't keep relying on it if you want to grow as an attorney. One day, you'll find a witness that the Empower Eye won't work on. It worked for me this far, though. But I suppose you're right. I'll try to rely on it less next time. And that marked the end of another case in my career as a defense attorney. And another life saved, and another murderer brought to justice. And no nobles to be mad at us! But I still couldn't shake this feeling of uneasiness. Was it guilt for what happened to the faculty staff? Or was it something else? Episode end. Now with my internet problems, I don't know if I want to continue. Also, actually, Hold on. Man, Steelwind has been taking hours with talking with the perps for hours. What is there even to ask at this point? Turns out she doesn't trust his testimony. Something about his memories not matching up with the crime scene. Oh wait, is this... Okay, so this is still The Walking Dead. Matching up with the crime scene. You don't think he had Mage Blade, does he? No, it's not that. She found that the damn symbol etched into his desk. Or what did she call it? The purple mask mark? Oh, for the love of, not this again. Look, if the little lady wants to chase the boogeyman, just let her. At least this time, she's doing it personally instead of dragging us into it. Cast sleep. Hey! What's up, Whis? Who did this to your desk? What's gotten into you? I've already admitted everything. What more could you possibly want from me? Where did this graffiti come from? What is this symbol? What is the purple mark? I don't know. A student must have done it at some point. Think very hard, headmaster. When did you receive this purple symbol? Focus on the moment you received this. Wait a minute. I remember it now. But how? Lady Steelwind! Lady Steelwind! Arya, what happened? Are you okay? That was close. My allegation meeting him almost made me forget. Eris, what are you doing here? Why? Wait, I remember now. It was you. You put those ideas into my mind. You're the one who told me to murder Bellwether. Oh, your humans never fail to amuse me. I didn't make you do anything. Everything you did that day, all the planning, all the preparation, that came from your own mind. And I have to say, I'm quite entertained with the scheme you came up with. Why did you even break into Miriam's room? I didn't even know you had it in you, old man. You made me forget about our conversation, but how? Illusion can't affect the mind. Magic can't affect the mind. It's a shame, though. I would rather much have turned Wallace into the antagonist of this chapter. Could you imagine if he turned? What would it be? The speculator? Armies of the undead, running rampant in the streets. But at last, even I couldn't corrupt his pure soul. Answer me. Who are you? What are you? Who am I? I'm the Lord of the Sixth Circle. Ah! I think that's a good place to end. I'm really sorry about this stream being so short. I'm feeling a bit lightheaded. I don't think I can continue. I'm truly sorry, everyone. But it is nice to know that I get to, finally end on an actual episode end. But like I said, so next time we'll start up with episode 3 on Thursday. Hopefully where I'm feeling much better, but like I said, my head hurts too much. And my voice is very dry. My voice is just so bleh. I would love to continue, but it's just, I can't. Like, physically, my body is telling me to stop. So much so that I don't think I have the energy to raid.